All right. Now, we're going to be doing that again for this one over here. So if it didn't work for you over here, don't, go down a rabbit hole and redo it a bunch of times. We're going to do it again on this side. So, okay. So cool. We've got the giraffe done, artboard 2 done. So now we are going to bring in our grape imagery. And we're going to do a couple of things here. So the first thing is I noticed that this graphic's not quite sitting on the edge of the artboard. So we're just going to take this and drag it over a little bit. And if it's overhanging, that's okay. And we're going to place a couple of files here, but we're going to actually do it off to the side because I want to make another clipping mask, but this time for a photo. So let's go to File and Place. We're going to place a couple of images in here. In our final folder, we want to do the grapes bottom and top, so you can just Command select both of those, or Shift select both of those, and you're going to hit place. So I'm going to make these maybe about this size-ish. I think that will work for the artboard that we have here. Okay, cool. And then there's one other image that we're going to place, and that's from the original file pool, which is that black sand. So I'm going to go to File, Place again. I'm going to go to the original sand image here that we don't have in our final bucket, right? Because we never edited anything with it. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to create a mask for this particular image, and I want to use it here on my artboard. And so we're going to go ahead and create a mask for this particular image. And it's really useful to know how to cut out images in Illustrator and use those in different ways. So what we're going to do is you're going to grab your ellipse tool. I'm going to go to kind of the center of this image, and I'm going to hold down Shift and Option so that I get my Shift is going to keep my proportion of the ellipse, and then Option is going to let that grow from the center. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag that. All right, now let's look at our layer hierarchy. What we have is the linked file here, which is the space sand, and then we have our ellipse here. And let's go ahead and make a clipping mask for that. So we're going to select space first. So the way that the selection hierarchy goes, it's like whatever you select first is what's getting cut, and then the second selection is what is going to be doing the cutting, or is the cookie cutter. So I'm going to Shift select the top ellipse here, and I'm going to use my quick key Command or Control 7, and you're going to see that that makes a clipping mask for this image, which is really kind of neat. So I'm going to bring this image up here, and I do want this to kind of fall off of the artboard a little bit. And I do want this to also be centered. So with it selected, I'm going to come over to the properties here, and I'm just going to hit the centering tool, and it looks like it was kind of centered over the artboard already, so that's great. All right, so this is probably a little bit too big, so I'm going to hold Shift and Option down again. Maybe have it somewhere around that size. All right, now I'm going to bring my top grape image over. It's behind the clip group right now, the sand clip group, so I'm going to drag that up. This is going to be hovering over the artboard, of course, and I do want to shrink this down just a bit so that it's nice and centered. I'm going to go ahead and have the hand like so. Then we're going to grab this bottom one. And I think I'm just gonna set it kind of over here. I'm gonna shrink it down a little bit. They're about a little bit out of proportion because I did make that hand a little bit smaller on the top. This gets a little bit funny with photographs, especially because we didn't actually crop the canvas down in Photoshop, and that's okay. I just need to select the hand itself, and I'm just going to use my arrow keys to move it because it's being pretty finicky. All right, so I'm just going to leave the hand there because I'm going to put a little bit of text here. So now, one thing that I wanted to show you all is that in Illustrator, you can actually, there are some effects that you can use that are similar to what you can find in Photoshop. And the contrast is really high for this top hand and the grapes because of that black sand background. But let's say I want to make this hand pop just a little bit more with a very subtle drop shadow. I'm going to go ahead and select this file. I'm going to go to Effect, and you can see there's tons of effects here. We've used a few of them, but I'm going to go down here to Photoshop Effects, and oh, maybe it's not under here. Maybe it's under Illustrator Effects, sorry. Drop Shadow is always under something called Stylize, a Stylize group. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Drop Shadow. It's way too strong. It's a little bit cheesy in the way that it looks. So I'm going to bring down the opacity to like 50, and then we're going to go ahead and blur. What? That's too much blur. That's really cheesy. We just want it to be really subtle. Maybe bring the opacity down to like 50. So a little bit of a pop there. Okay, hit okay. All right, cool. So this is looking pretty good, but you know, I want to see how this is looking like this one. So we will group everything here in just a moment. Let's just go ahead and add a text layer, and then we can group everything and create that nice layer mask. So I'm going to just create text kind of like this. I don't know really what to call this. I'll just call them space grapes. Not seeing everything because my text area isn't big enough. What I need to do is with my text tool, just click down. I'm going to select everything. I can go to let's see, select all, which is Command or Control A. I just need to bring the size of my text down a little bit. I definitely want to change the font. I'm only seeing scripted options because I still have my filter on for script. So I'm just going to hit clear, and I'm just going to choose this Domus font for just to make it easy, but you can choose whatever font you like, obviously. You're probably not going to have Domus. I think that is one of my downloaded ones. And there's too much of a contrast here between the dark sand and that pink, the pink graphic background. So I want space grapes to just kind of hang down here so it's really easy to read. So we're just going to leave that there for simplicity's sake. And now let's go ahead and group all this together and create a nice looking mask for this particular composition as well. So with my selection tool over here, I'm going to go ahead and click and drag and have everything selected. We're going to hit Command or Control G to group everything together. So here's our group. I'm going to go ahead and click off. I am going to grab my rectangle tool and create a nice rectangle. The black one's a little easier to see than that orange one was. We're going to come in here and just make sure that it's sitting nicely over those lines of the artboard. So nice and neat and tidy. All right, perfect. So in our layer panel, we're going to select the group first because that's what is going to get cut. And then we tell Illustrator what the cookie cutter is going to be essentially. So we're going to shift, select the rectangle, and then you're going to hit Command or Control 7. And we've got a nice clipping mask for this composition as well. Okay, so this is a nice place for you to go ahead and save your file. So go ahead and save your file. We're going to take a beat here. It's a good time to take a break. We just went through a lot of stuff. And we're going to finish up with how to use stock vector graphics and from various sources that are available online and manipulate those in Illustrator. So yeah, I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.